Hi guys, welcome to week 11. Our Zoom for this week is to check in on our movie poster project. It's going to be the equivalent of an open lab session. I will answer questions. I want to show you guys a couple of things. I'll demo anything that you want demoed and just kind of keep you moving along in the process as you're midway through working on your movie poster, and also a good way into learning all of these new skills in Illustrator. So it's going to be an open time. I want to take questions. Once I show you a couple of things and just do a general check-in. If you have no questions and you feel good about where you are, feel free to log out and take this time to work on your studies. I want to do the very last thing I'll do before I dismiss anyone who needs to go is to take roll. So don't leave before I do that so I can make sure to give you credit. The movie poster project is probably my favorite project. And what I wanted to do is show you a few, I posted to the announcements and I don't know if everyone got a chance to see the thumbnail sketches that I posted. So I wanted to show you the thumbnail sketches and the finished designs from a former student. And then I also want to show you my Illustrator file, which is relatively empty, but I just wanted to kind of give you a couple tips on setting up your Illustrator file or organizing your file as you're working on your poster. So once I show you those two things, there will be time for questions, and I'm just going to open it up. If you guys want to post to the chat so I can take your questions in order, that would probably be the fairest, most organized way for us to do it. So you can do that. And then meanwhile, I'm going to share my screen and show you the thumbnail sketches and then the finished product of the Change the Context ad for one of my summer students, and then his movie poster project, which was, they were both really good. And I wanted to, let's see here, maybe I'll just share my entire, I'm gonna share this desktop. Okay, so you should now see my desktop. This here, let me make it really big. I'll hide this one. Okay, so this was his Change the Context ad. You can see in my bigger screen, I've got like a grid of 16 thumbnails, correct? Little sketches. He just played around with ideas. Once he came up with an idea of what he was going to do for his Change the Context, a few different ideas of what he was going to do. And then this was his final Change the Context ad, a Carfax ad, don't get suckered, pretty cute. And you can see his sketch for this one is somewhere, it's right here. Third row down, third across, his little sketch for it. And you can see it's pretty true to what his final looks like. The purpose of these sketches, again, is just to kind of explore all of your ideas and all of your options. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be all sketches of the same idea. He explored a whole bunch of different ideas, and you guys are welcome to do that. If you do a sketch and you get it into Illustrator and it's turning out to be nothing like what you want it to be, you're free to go and change it and go back to the drawing board. You know, that's where that term comes from, and do some more sketches and come up with other ideas that might work and that might turn out the way you see it in your head. The challenge right now is beginner Illustrator experience, beginner Illustrator skills with vision that you have in your head that you might not practically be able to make happen. And it can be a very frustrating time and a very kind of discouraging point in the learning process. And to that, I say you got to push through it, number one, but also don't get stuck on one thing and try to force it. Try a bunch of different things. Delete stuff that you don't like. Go back to the drawing board. And when we get to my Illustrator file, I'll kind of show you a way that you can use the software to play with multiple ideas. This is his movie poster sketches. So you can see in the big window, again, he had a movie in particular that he was going for, just like you guys did. He chose a movie, and then having watched the movie or knowing the storyline, thought of all these different ways that a poster could be representative of the movie itself. And then chose 2 different versions, did 2 that he uploaded and got feedback on before narrowing it down to this one. He used skills that we learned in the class. He used the brushes, he used the patterns. Next week you guys are going to be doing a pattern tutorial to learn to make a pattern. He used the pen tool, the pencil tool, the shape tool, the text tool to create this poster, which turned out amazing. So they're all elementary beginning skills, and it's just how you end up using them. And if you guys like, I will show you, I can show you even more of the posters that were turned in and all of kind of the range of kind of skill level, and you can see what you think, and just kind of to get inspiration and just kind of to see what the other students did in past semesters. So that said, let me share my Illustrator screen and show you one more thing before I take roll and then just answer questions. So I'm going to go to, let's see here. Desktop 1. Okay, can you all see my Illustrator screen now? Yeah, okay. So this is an 11 by 17 artboard. I actually have 2 artboards open, which is what you're going to want to do as you're developing maybe more than one idea. The reason I like to have an extra artboard, and I will do this with almost every design that I'm working on, is that I like to have a staging area where I can have different versions or different elements of what I'm working on out of the way of the design I'm working on. For instance, if you have your movie title and you want to try, you know, several different fonts, and so you have them all kind of playing around over on one side, and meanwhile you're working on the actual design of it over on the left side. I like to have what I call a staging artboard, and I find that to be really helpful. I'm going to move you guys up here so I can see to what I'm doing. So that's one of the tips I wanted to give you. Another tip is to use the layers panel, especially when you're working on in Illustrator with vector, so that you can put things on different layers and then lock the layer so that whatever object is on that layer doesn't move around. One of the things that you might want to put on a separate layer would be a background color to your poster. I've drawn a rectangle, and it's the same size as my artboard, 11 by 17, and it's right in the dead center of the artboard. So when you select it, you can see that this layer 2 has a red kind of identifier color, and this little red dot all the way over here to the right indicates that I have selected an object on that layer. In order to move it to a different layer, you just click and drag that little indicator. So I'm going to put this down on layer 3 so that I can lock it. And then that way, when I'm clicking around and moving things around on this layer, my background color isn't moving around. It's locked, it's there, I don't have to do anything with it. So that's one of the tips. And you can grab and move the whole layer as wherever you want it to, just by clicking and dragging. And a good kind of practice in working with layers is, of course, to title your layers, just like we did in Photoshop, so that you remember what's what. This is going to be my background color. Another little tip, and then to lock it, this empty space between the the visibility icon, which is a little eyeball, and then the name of the layer itself, there's like a little empty space, and you just click on that and it locks it. Another thing that I wanted to show you that would be helpful, now that you've got your sketches done, some of your sketches are very detailed, and it might really be helpful to drop a photo of your sketches onto a layer in your file so that you can use it to trace. Just like you did with the pen trace tool, put it on its own layer and lock it, and then you can use your pen tool to trace that artwork that you sketched and to give yourself some sort of a guide. So you're not just in there freehanding it in Illustrator, but you're able to use your sketch as a starting point for creating your poster in as a piece of vector art or as a vector design. So also really helpful. Again, working with the layers, being able to turn them on and off so you can see what you're doing, having a working artboard and then your actual artboard of your design. All of these things will kind of help you in your workflow. So I wanted to just kind of give you those few things that I thought of over the week. Get rid of this, whether from talking to other students or just kind of thinking about the poster in general. So that said, those are the things that I had. Oh, I better check my list. Yes. Oh, there's only one other thing I want to tell you. There was already a creative, that's it for my movie poster updates. Let me just tell you a general kind of announcement. And then I'm going to take roll and I'll take any questions from there. I got an update for Creative Cloud to my system. I don't know if yours all updated as well, but we are now at CC 2021, which means Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, those are all going to update. And what it's going to look like is a brand new Illustrator opening, and the old Illustrator is still going to be in the dock, and you're going to have to like get rid of it, drag it off of there. Everything's going to update. The little loading artwork is going to be new. I haven't really seen any significant changes to how it functions, but if you guys see anything, let me know. But do the update. If you just get an announcement that there is an update or you see a little notification in Creative Cloud, do the updates. Go ahead and run them and just keep an eye out. Everything seems pretty stable and pretty similar to me than 2020, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys were all on the same page with that as well. So that said, let me do a screen grab of our participants list, and then I'll take questions if anyone has any, or if there's anything you want me to demo on your poster. Otherwise, you're free to go for this week. I'll be in my office hours tomorrow at 5. And oh, I have one other thing that I wanted to ask you guys. Now that we're in November, my favorite month, what do you guys want to do about Thanksgiving week? Typically, if we were in class, we would go to school through Wednesday and then have Thursday, Friday off. It is, let's see what week that is for us. It's not, I have stuff for you guys that week, but I was also thinking I could just turn it on early. That week we are starting InDesign. And then we have 2 weeks left after Thanksgiving to wrap up InDesign. The week before is when your movie posters are done, so that's kind of nice. It's a really easy, light week, so I could publish it the week before, like midway through the week before, and you can have a head start on it. Or we can just do it like a normal week, and I think you would easily be done before Thanksgiving, and then you'd have the rest of the week off. But you'd have the whole week to turn in your stuff if you wanted it. Any thoughts on that?
I'd appreciate it if you opened it early. I know that my other teachers are not planning to make it light that week, so it would be nice if I could get a head start.
Okay.
Yeah, the extra week never hurts.
Okay, and what I can do, because I've recorded an InDesign tour in a previous class, is we can 86 the Zoom for that week. I can post it along with the video of the InDesign tour that I did for a previous class, so you guys could just watch the video instead of attending the Zoom on Tuesday, and then it's one less thing. What do you think? Yeah. Because the only what we would do that week would be the InDesign overview, where I just kind of give you a tour of the workspace and then cut you loose to work in InDesign with an exercise. There's one exercise that week. There's kind of a lecture to read and some videos to watch, and then a quiz, and that's pretty much it. It's a really easy week. But if you would rather have the Zoom, I'm also happy to do that. It's up to you guys. I just wanted to open it up since we're pretty solid going into November. Everybody's doing really well. No, nobody knows. All right. Well, I'm happy to show up and do the Zoom, and if anyone wants to come that week, we can. We can talk about it again like the week before too, as we can see like how things are piling up closer to the Thanksgiving holiday. So, all right, guys. So does anyone have questions for me or anything they want to know about the movie poster project?
Hi, is it okay we use photos from images from websites to make the movie poster?
So would you be using it in your final, or would you be using it to trace?
Well, I'm just using it to like this Hans and Illustrator. Basically, I'm just changing the image around to make it different. Is that okay, or do we need a trace?
The poster should be 100% vector. That's the goal of this, since we're in Illustrator. When you do your InDesign project, you'll get the opportunity to bring in a photo, bring in an Illustrator, bring in type, and kind of combine all of the things. But for this Illustrator project, it should be vector. Your poster should be vector. So if you do bring in a photo, the thing to do would be to use it to trace to create your final poster design.
Right, got it. Just want to make that clear because I was a little like concerned about that, and I was like, wait, you didn't mention anything about photos, so I was just wanting to make sure I know.
Yeah, and I can show you. I have a couple examples from my spring semester of students' posters where they brought photos in and then they used them to trace to create their final design. Do you want to see those? Would that be helpful at all? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, let me bring them online here. It was my Illustrator class. Let's see, spring 2020, 62. Give me a minute here and I'll open it up and then I can show you. See greater. I can show you guys a bunch of posters. Let's see, desktop 2. Okay, let's see here. So, let me just. This was one I showed Chris. Let's see. Oh, here's a cool one. I thought this was cute because this is a student who he brought in pictures and this is like a different, this will give you guys kind of a view at the different skill level. He brought in pictures of Brad Pitt and Edward Norton and traced them and colorized them and made them like stylized, but you can totally tell, at least that it's Brad Pitt. I feel like you can definitely tell. That's not the one I'm looking for. Oops. Let's see here. I'm looking for this one. This one's crazy. He brought in a picture of Benedict Cumberbatch and traced it, and this is all vector, and not only does it dead on him, but he did an amazing job. All of this is vector. He brought in photos, traced them in order to create his head, and then he did all kinds of other stuff to create his own design. Another one was, let me think here. John did Black Widow and used a picture of, what's her name? I forgot, it's escaping me. Scarlett Johansson. to trace her face and kind of, but it's all vector. And so that's just part of the project, is to get you it's a practice in Illustrator and a practice in creating vector art. So let's see what else we have in here. So Cinderella, you know, a little more simple, but super effective still. You know, she's got the vector horses and chariot and the moon. I know we talked about how to make a moon, and the type solutions. She's got a gradient, you know, in her sky. So all of these are appropriate and fulfill the assignment. It's just about what you make it, how much time you have on your hands. This was a project that we had just gone from in the classroom to online, and everybody was home all of the time and had nowhere to go. And so some students were able to spend more time than others. Hannah, are you still here? Hannah was in this class. Oh, she left. Vector hair, vector face. Hannah was in this class, and she's in our class right now too. This was hers. Hers was she drew all the little symbols, vector, and then did a gradient and shapes and text. And so these are, let's see, what poster was this? Oh, she didn't finish hers. She placed a poster and then never got around to drawing it. Let's see what this one did. It was a rough semester. Another one started. You can see that there's quite a bit of vector going on, but she didn't quite finish it. But super fun. I love this project. So there's a lot of ways you can go. And it's up to you how complex that you want to get. You don't have to go crazy. Any other questions? Yeah, Christina.
So if you're trying to like make a shape not so harsh, and you use because there's like the thing that says feather, I cannot figure out how to not make it go completely translucent. How does that filter work?
So because you're trying to make the edges less solid, and that's the thing with vector, is vector art is a hard edge as opposed to working with pixels where you have a softer edge. But the thing to do, let me just look at it here. So effect, and then stylize feather. Let me share my screen again. Where'd you guys go? Share screen, Illustrator. So the little window comes up that gives you the kind of controls that you have for feathering it. And that's basically all that it is you're feathering the edge of the shape, which is just making it fuzzy, but it's not. And I don't know if that's kind of what you're looking for. There's another way to go about it. That's using the feathered edge kind of look. Another way to go about it, let me get rid of the feather on this. Delete that. Okay, so another way to do it would be to use a gradient. What sort of a shape is it?
It's a pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
Yeah, I'm trying to make the edges of I'm not trying to feather the edges of the pumpkin. I'm trying to make the grooves in it.
Mm-hmm. So, and I can't remember if we get to this. Let me look really quick in our class if we get to so there's a gradient tool. And I want to see if we do this. We do this in our class. I'm pretty sure we do. It's another skill, Illustrator skill. It's called the gradient mesh tool. We actually don't get to it till week 13, but I'll send it to you, or you can actually Google it, the gradient mesh tool. There's some good tutorials for it. But the gradient mesh tool is what's going to allow you to create a gradient that kind of follows abstract edges to make it look three-dimensional, which is, I think, kind of what you're going for. It's a very forgiving tool, and it's something that you just play with, and everything kind of just like morphs as you're playing with it. And it's, if you look on Behance, you can see some crazy things that people do with the gradient mesh tool with creating really realistic looking illustrations. But it could also be just very simple. The tutorial that I have in the exercise for you guys is to apply a gradient mesh to a banana shape to make it look dimensional like a banana, and also to a donut to make it look dimensional. That's probably the tool that you're going to want to use on the pumpkin to give it kind of a softer look. And then also remember those illustrations we were looking at on Wednesday where there was just different shapes on top of, like it would be on top of the pumpkin shape in a different shade to make it look like there was shading on it, but they were still kind of hard edge, but just maybe like a very organic shape, you know, to kind of, so that would be another way to go. So check out gradient mesh. I'll look at my exercise and I'll send you the video that I have linked to that. In fact, I wonder if I can just paste it right now for you in the thing here. It's a YouTube situation. Let's see here. Paste, share, copy. I'll put it in the chat. Okay, there you go. Anyone else? Questions? All right. Well, I want to talk. Sorry, that was YouTube. Everybody's free to go. You're free to stick around to chat if you need to. I need to speak to Morgan and Bryson about some info that I got for them this week. Open up my email so I don't forget where that is. And then you guys are doing fantastic. We made it. We're just gonna go quick from here on out. Keep up the good work. And thank you guys.
Thank you.
Welcome. See ya.